What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Tony Shen. I'm back with another beginner tutorial video. This is basically a series where I make beats only using free sounds and also stock plugins. So basically stuff that you can make for free without having to invest 500 bucks into Omnisphere or Electra X or all these other fancy plugins. You can just use free sounds from the internet and also free sounds from FL Studio to make a banging beat that you can sell on BeatStars. Anyways, today we're gonna go over sampling. Now, sampling is very important. I feel like it's a skill that every producer should have, not only because it's kind of like the root of hip-hop. That's where hip-hop originated, just by looping samples, but also because it's a great way to get inspired whenever you get beat blocked. Like, even if you only make beats clicking into the piano roll and then making melodies and clicking drums through here, it doesn't really matter. If you know how to sample, then you won't, like, it's really easy to get inspired and then just go with the vibe of the sample. So anyways, whenever I get beat blocked, I just play around with samples and then I get back on that momentum. So here's a sample we're working with today. Again, I'll post a link in the description below to where you can find them. And then yeah, this is the sample. So also the drums I'm using, they're gonna be free as well. It's gonna be from my free drum kit, Tony Shen Slap Pack Volume 1. All you have to do to get it is click the link in the description below. But before I get to that, if you're new to this channel, please make sure to subscribe. It really means a lot to have this channel grow, and I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me. But I love hooking you guys up with free stuff, so if it's content, tutorials, but also drum kits. So I'm gonna be using free sounds from my drum kit. But yeah, let's get to it. So I already dragged the sample into the playlist. All you have to do, or not the playlist, the channel rack, and all you have to do to access it is Control E. That opens up Edison, which is one of the ways that you can chop these into loops. So here's a sample. So basically, the important thing about sampling is that you need to count correctly and have like the right measures down, right? So a common mistake is that people loop things that are off time and then it just throws the entire timing off. So first thing, click this button so you're on loop mode, so it loops whenever you select a region. Also, if this arrow is turned on, turn it off. It's so annoying. Basically, when this arrow is on, like, it just follows, like, it's so annoying. So turn it off. And then yeah, so first step is to find a section that we want to loop, right? So make sure to count into equal loops. So for example, if you want to loop 4 bars, make sure you're counting 4 bars, and I'm gonna teach you how to do that. It's gonna be, I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be really tough when you're starting off. Like, I had music theory training and I was in class, I knew classical music and I was always counting, but when I started sampling, it was still hard for me. So it takes a lot of practice to be able to get this down. Ready? 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2 3 4 4 2 3 4. So that's 4 bars. But you hear how that's kind of off time? Da, 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 da. So that might play into effect. So it's a lot of testing out, right? Like, I don't know if this is gonna be a perfect loop. 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2. It's kind of speeding up. So this might not be the best section of the loop. So we might have to find a different section. 1 2 3 4 2 2 3 4 3 2 3 4 4 2 3 4. So that sounds like it's more in time. So let's actually loop this section instead. So all you have to do to drag it out and then put it on the playlist is hit that button and then drag it here. So now you see how that's kind of off time, right? It's not synced to the metronome. All you have to do is pretty easy. Double click and then set this to auto mode. So what auto mode does is that when you stretch out the sample to fit the grid, to, like, change the time of it, like time stretch, it doesn't affect the pitch. So now when you hit time, right click here and then hit 4 bars, it is like, it's still the same pitch. So now you have it in time. Like, if you hit the metronome and you turn it on, it's kind of in time, right? But again, it's also not exactly on time which is great. Actually, this is what I love about samples, because it sounds more human and it sounds more interesting. Because when you play stuff on your piano roll here and like just, you know, draw notes into the into here, it's perfectly on time and like on the metronome, and it just sounds boring. It just sounds like robots are playing it. But with this, it sounds more human. So there's two things you need to consider when playing with samples. One is that you don't know if the sample is going to be completely on time, which is, it's often good if it's not completely on time, but sometimes you actually have to like slice it up individually and then stretch individual sections, which gets kind of annoying. Second thing you need to consider, not everything's going to be in pitch, right? Like different samples, different, you know, especially when you're sampling orchestras or like even jazz, they tune to different frequencies. And then by default, everything in FL Studio is tuned to like 440 hertz, like most plugins, 440 hertz. But sometimes, you know, other live performances that are being recorded or other even samples, they're tuned to different frequencies. Some might be, you know, a little bit sharp, right, which is 443, or like some might be even flat. So you need to actually listen to that and take some time to develop your ears. So that's another good thing about samples, is that it really trains you to use your ears. Like there's no music theory to this. Like I'm not gonna teach you like scales or whatever. Like that's irrelevant. It's all about using your ears when it comes to working with samples. So it is a little bit off time, but we're gonna get to that later. Let's find another section to loop. Excuse me. That's hard. So this is gonna be 8 bars. 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and one good thing to note about sampling is that, you know, like whenever you see like a sharp peak here, usually that's the downbeat. So you want to find where it hits a 1. Right, so that's a good loop. So once we have that, just click this button, drag it out into the playlist. And then when you right click here, you might notice there's no 8 bars. So what I like to do is just hit 4 bars and then make sure the stretch mode, like go into this audio clips, make sure stretch mode is on, and then just stretch it to 8 bars yourself. And that does 8 bars. Double click. Again, make sure this is set to auto so that the pitch doesn't get affected. So I actually like to play around with the pitch just a little bit. So what you can do is go here and then just play with the pitch. Now 100 cents, this is by semitones, right? And like every octave there's 12 semitones. So every 100 cent is 1 semitone. So if you pitch this down to like 300 cents, it's gonna go down by 3 semitones. Sounds pretty hard, huh? Same here. You want to make sure all your samples again are in the same key, right? So make sure that if you shift one sample to like negative 300 semitones, so like down 300 cents, make sure to do the same for all the other samples. Otherwise your song is going to be in different keys in different sections, which is not necessarily something you want to happen, because like some sections you have to like have the artist change keys and whatever. It's going to be all messed up. You want to make it as easy as possible for the artist to rap or sing over. Just keep that in mind. Now remember how I told you that samples can be out of time sometimes, because, you know, this, in the case of this, there's like a conductor conducting, and then whenever there's a conductor, he's not always on time, and he actually wants to, you know, slow the orchestra down or the instruments down in some sections and then speed it up just to create that energy that a lot of times these live instruments want to create. So the bad thing for us is that we have to actually manually adjust the time ourselves. So what I suggest doing is kind of just splitting it in the playlist. This is just how I do it. So you see this, right? This is obviously a downbeat, but you see there's like a huge shift here. So what we can do is hit the razor tool, the slice tool, and hold shift, and then just create a slice right here, and then, you know, highlight this and then hit shift, and then use the scroll wheel to like kind of scroll it and nudge it back on time. you hear how this is silent here and you want to fill up that gap. Here's what you can do, right? Split this right here. All right, that's the first step. And then hit the pencil box, the draw tool, and then double click, or no. Hit the you use the pencil tool and then click here, and then like the settings for the audio clip, and then make this unique, right? Because you're gonna have to like drag this and like change the pitch and then stretch it out, but you don't want to stretch, like if it's not a unique sample, it's going to stretch out the entire thing, and that's going to throw all the timing off, which is bad. So you want to make this unique, and then make sure this is on stretch mode, and then just stretch it, and then make sure it's on auto. So maybe stretch it more. So here that's more on time, and yeah, so just copy and paste this again. And then there's a little bit of like a pause here, so you can actually, you know, cut that out using the splice tool. So it starts right on time. And then kind of just copy and paste this here. Just make sure it loops well. Yeah, it looks, now it's more on time. We just fix the timing of it. Now let's listen to here. This is pretty on time. We don't have to mess with this too much. Okay, so now let's play around with the drums. Now the drums, again, it's up to your interpretation. Like if you want to make this into a boom bap type beat, go ahead. You know, there's nothing stopping you from doing whatever you want. You know, feel free to interpret this sample as much as you'd like, but today we're gonna go for like a turbo / like Gunna type vibe. This is what I originally intended this to do with the sample, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's go to Tony Shen Slap Pack Volume 1, find either a clap. Let's go for a clap. You know what to do. And then just copy this. And then find a nice hat. Use the snake hat today. Just kind of create a bounce. Yeah. Give it that open hat. Just to give it more energy, more bounce. Now we're gonna add more perks. Again, just give them more bounce, give them more energy at certain areas. Now let's find an 808. You want kind of like a nice punchy but short this type of 808. Again, you can find all of these drums for free. You can use the same exact drums that I'm using. Right now, I'm not really worried about the pitch. We're going to fix that later. Actually, I'm going to teach you exactly how to tune your 808 to the sample itself, right? Because you don't know what key the sample is in, right? Like, this is the name of the track that we're using. Like, you have no idea what key this is in. There's no indication. And you can, plug this into, like, upload it to online and then, like, to keyfinder.com. But I'm going to teach you how to do that by ear because I feel like this is the best way. Because even keyfinder.com, like, they tell you the wrong thing sometimes. And also, it could be the same key, but just in a relative major or minor. You don't really know. So again, the best way to tune your instruments, like your 808s, and like, I don't know if you're going to add like a lead to it after or like a flute, the best way to find the tune and the key of the sample is to actually use your ears. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that later. But first, let's just figure out the bounce and the rhythm of the 808, and then we're going to match it to the pitch. Okay, let's actually loop this area. And then also I'm just gonna add a kick to it. To bias. Okay, so now first thing first, create the envelope. If you've been watching my other videos, you already know what I'm talking about, but you hear how like when I play notes really close to each other, especially, the notes kind of overlap into the next and it just creates a muddy bass that you don't really want. All you have to do to fix that is just do exactly what I did and make this box. So when you release the note also releases. So it doesn't overlay into the next note and then create that muddy bass. So now all you have to do is pitch it up so you can hear the actual pitch of the 808. And then just listen and then match the root note of every beat of the sample with the root note of your 808. So it sounds like a D, right? So again, you just listen and then, because like if I shift it like this, it doesn't sound in tune. It doesn't sound in key. Right? Like if that's even harder, pitch it up an octave even higher so you can hear. Da da. And then another way to go about this is to actually sing. So like da da da, and then just find a note. So like match the key of the sample with your voice. So da da da, and then just da da. So that's a D. Da 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 da. So it's another D, but then you hear how the note kind of goes down to a B, right? Da 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 da. So that's a B. So you can also put a B here because B is in the scale. It's in the key of the sample. So again here. Da 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 da. So that's a G. So it's da 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 da. So F sharp is also in it, right? Like da 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 da. So actually D sounds better. So this sounds all in key and in tune when pitched up like 3 octaves. So it's gonna sound in tune when you pitch it back down. Listen, I'm gonna pitch it back down. To pitch again, I'm sorry if I wasn't clear enough before, but to pitch it up and down octaves, all you have to do is press Control up and Control down. That sounds in key, right? And then sometimes, you know, when you rip another sample off into from if you rip another section of a sample from the same song, it might be in a different key because the song itself might change, go from one key or to the next, or it'll play different chords, right? And then sometimes, you know, obviously this wouldn't work for all cases. Like you would need to change the bass notes a little bit just to match the section of the second half. But to kind of tell if whether or not you need to change the key or not, just listen to the actual sample itself, like da 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 da. So you hear that this part, the section from these first 8 bars is actually the same thing playing within these 8 bars. So that means that even with the melody added on top of it, it's still in the same key because it's using the same bass melody from here. It's just adding on top of that. So you don't really have to change the 808, like the pitch of the 808, because it's in the same key still for the second section. So if you listen, it's still in tune. All right, we got it. So now first of all, let's just mix the instruments a little bit. So let's put that in the mixer. So all you have to do is highlight all of this. Oops. And then go to the mixer and then Control L. And that links all of it. It's like a specific track. So let's mix the first half first. So that's a sample, right? Turn it down a little bit actually. I want to cut out some of the bass so it doesn't interfere when the bass comes in. Add some reverb just to open it up a little bit. Oh wait, I messed up. Okay, so remember how we created like a unique sample? So we created a unique sample here, right? So we actually have to link that to the same track as here. Yeah, so that's why it was silent when I soloed this section. Again, if you use my drums for my kit, all of it has been pre-mixed already. So all you have to really do is mess with the volumes. You don't have to like EQ or compress or anything. Yeah, you might want to turn up the kick just a little bit. That's hard. All right, second section. Turn this down. Again, same drill. Turn down some of the bass. the EQ to give room for the actual bass. Otherwise, you know, it would interfere with the bass. Yeah, you have sounds here that's interfering. Doesn't sound all that clear, huh? But if you cut it out, you're gonna give more room for the bass, and it's gonna cut through more. All right, last step is to arrange. So again, that was a really quick mix, just because I mixed all the drums already, and then like the only thing that you have is the melody and the drums. But I already like the way the melody sounds already. Like some samples you're gonna want to mix a lot more, right? But this one, I just like the way it sounds already. It just gives it that old school orchestral feel, and it gives it that vintage type vibe. It's already in the sample. I don't have to add too much stuff to it. Last step is to kind of arrange. So you can start off by just playing the samples, you know, as an intro before the drums come in. And then just right click here, split by channel, so you have all the drums by themselves. Delete that. Yeah, and then, you know, just arrange it like. Cut this out here just to give it more tension. Oops. Didn't mean to copy all of that. Okay, here. Here I might want to cut out all the snare and everything and just have the bass. And then I'm actually just gonna have an 8-bar. I'm gonna have an 8-bar hook here and then an 8-bar verse here. Again, this is 8 bars, not 16, because this is double time. It's just a slower tempo. That's the whole beat. As you can see, you know, sometimes when you're so beat blocked and then you just have no idea what to put down, like on your MIDI key, like you're trying your hardest trying to draw out melodies on this piano roll, right? And like you can't figure out what to do. Pull up a sample and then you'll be able to work from there and just let all the sample do all the work. But if you're still very insistent on making your own melodies, but you're still beat blocked, don't worry, I got you. I got 4 MIDI kits as well as pre-made melody packs. And so these are all melody packs, right? And those are all ready for you to use. And if you're beat blocked, all you have to do is, you know, drag one of this in. And these are all royalty free, so you can still sell them on your BeatStars and make money with them. Like, I'm not gonna charge you anything, right? And if you're interested in a huge bundle of MIDI packs and melody kits and all that, click the link below. I'll hook you guys up for a really special prize, and it's like super cheap, and you get a lot of sounds for like really cheap. So if you're interested, hit the link below. But if you just want a free drum kit for now, go ahead, like I got you. Get Tony Shen Slap Pack Volume 1 for free. All you have to do is click the link below to download it. And then if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. You know, you guys are giving me a lot of support, and that's amazing, and I honestly really appreciate it. You know, helping my channel grow, like that really means a lot to me. So keep doing that. Like this video, drop a comment on what you want me to do next, and thank you. Peace.